I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We have a motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Ron.
Second.
Second by Gene. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Public comment? Okay. Hi, public.
Hi, public.
Okay, consent items. We have a motion to approve the consent items.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Michaeline. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by me. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion items, review of projects on the 10-year plan.
Your 10-year plan. Is that?
Well, Ron's in there too.
Okay. She's fine.
Okay, this is the big one, the 50 pager.
Yeah,
And then the other one is that smaller sheet.
there, that one is, okay. You'll notice in column E that this year, we've got, the 81,000 under E, the fourth line down. That would be the cost of, removing the, flooring in this building that still has asbestos in it. And so that would be the cost of that removal and encapsulation. And then we've got the cost for the flooring built in, that down below 81 resurfacing, the 81,000 where it said 22 and then 81, that line. That's the cost of resurfacing and redoing the tiles on that floor. That's why that year has a little bump up in it, if we want to do that. We don't have the cafeteria project in here, because that's one that, if we built it in, we would have to go out to, this is just the long-term facility maintenance. The cafeteria project isn't part of long-term facility maintenance because it's new construction. Mimi brought up a point at the district advisory committee when she said she's not sure what committee talks about building and
No, that's not what I said.
okay, what?
I said, I don't know what group talks about the goals of the school. Who sets the goals? And to me, the facility committee is more reactionary. If the facility committee is setting all of our school's goals, that seems a little weird.
For
So
facilities.
But if we're gonna do a big addition or a big project, and let's say that we decide to focus on science and we need a new science wing, and we're gonna put robotics in there, and we're gonna put a big chemistry lab in there, and we're gonna put patient beds and have nursing facility or something like that. I mean, whatever.
Right.
And is facility committee gonna make that, decide that? Isn't
No,
there a
it's gonna be-
group
I think
that
it's gonna be
decides
a-
what the kids need and then tells the facility committee, and then they take that and go figure out if it's possible or how to make it happen?
Well, it's kind of similar. It happens kind of like that. You would get a group that would, or people that would say, hey, it would be nice if we could do this. It's kind of like Rick's been on us to build a cafeteria for 15 years or more. And we said, well, we can look into it. So the facility committee went out and looked into it and came up with pricing, you know, can it be done? At the same time, we asked the people that it would affect, what would you like to see? You know, yeah, we want a cafeteria, but is there other things that we want to have part of that, since we're gonna go out and get this funding? You know, and it'd be like that situation. If somebody said, hey, we're looking at doing a science wing. What would you want? So we talked to the science, everybody involved in that arena would come up with some ideas, and that would be part of what the facility committee would go out and get bids for.
Yep.
To have that part of it.
Yep, and this group.
And then that would take it to the board and say, okay, we talked to these guys, and these guys. It wouldn't be a separate entity. It would just be science people, anybody involved, and say, hey, you know.
Well, this group, which is the District Advisory Council, was tasked from the board of coming up with a goal for curriculum and course offerings. And so I told them, you know, what would you like to see? You know, and they're like, oh, we couldn't recommend something, you know, building related. That has to come from the building or the facilities committee. And I said, no.
No, you can recommend anything you
Yeah,
want.
I mean, we can dream. That's why the group is there. And if the group wants to add a science wing, I'm not saying that they want to.
No.
But if they wanted to, then it would go to facility committee and then start the discussion.
Right, and that's basically how a lot of this has started. Rick brought it up, and usually every year we bring up to Rick and Todd, because they're over the both buildings, and we say, okay, what would you or what would your people like to see? Let us know. And then we sit down in the facility and say, okay, make your list. Now, what's your number one idea? What would you like to see first? If you had the money, what would you like to see first?
And it's the same thing, except I guess the thing that we're doing slightly different is including the whole committee in that and saying what district-wide would we like to see? And Rick and Todd are in there. And I think that group felt that they couldn't.
Oh, no, they should.
I was like, dream big, right?
No,
I mean,
well, no,
the
that's
worst we
what
can say is no, right?
Yeah.
I mean, dream big, and I think there was some concern that all of those things were routed or they were already included. If it wasn't included in the 10-year plan, it's not possible, and it needs to go through the facilities committee. And I think the facilities committee is there to make sure stuff happens, but they're not the strategic, group. We want the,
Well, we want everybody in the district to be part of and that's, in theory, the way it should work, maybe, is that whether the teachers or the janitors or the bus driver or people that, anybody in the school that has a thought or an idea, they should bring it up to the principals and say, hey, wouldn't it be great if we had this? And then those people, part of that committee would be people that are sitting there saying, hey, it'd be nice if we could do this. Rick and Todd, and then turn, would bring it to the facility committee and say, hey, we just had this meeting and this was brought up. We'd like to build a science wing. You think that's possible? At any time, everything that we do in this school changes on a regular basis because things change. The school changes.
As I just went to the 3 days of classes that I came back from, and an idea that came there, and I was thinking of some of this. We took a 4-hour class on governance, and I know that I've heard some frustrations from this board as far as feeling that you're not really getting to some of the governance that you'd like to do. And I don't want you frustrated. I don't want you feeling like you're not able to do or to get done what you want to get done. And so
I don't know what that means. I don't walk around I don't think about governance, but I just want us to complete the strategic plan. We have curriculum and relevant course offerings, and I just want a goal to go with it. Something that we can measure success, and it's district-wide, and it came from the District Advisory Council, and I want a marketing goal. So I don't know what you mean by governance, but I just want to complete the strategic process. Is that governance? Is it the same thing?
So governance is what we're supposed to do, oversight and set the strategic plan. And set the goals.
I just want the group to come up with the idea and to just dream a little.
But we have. I mean, we have continually come back to our focus areas: technology utilization, partnerships, curriculum and course offerings, and marketing. if the district advisory committee was tasked with a goal for curriculum and course offerings, and the idea was generated there, STEM, science, wing, nursing beds, that is the way we want to go from a curricular point of view, then it fits into what we have established as our focus. If our focus is building a community, building something, then, we didn't have that. So either we need to go back to the strategic plan and redo that, or we need to find how curriculum and course offerings can feed into making that recommendation, that we would like to put money into building a wing. Marketing could put money into building the cafeteria project, because that is marketing the community and the school in a way. I could see those building projects as falling under two of our identified, the things we as a governing board have said we want to focus on. So it's just, how does it all fit together? So I think the recommendation can come there, but if it needs to come from a curriculum and course offering point of view, not from a we want to build.
No, and it might not be, it might say, and I guess it was part of, oh, well, we don't have the space for that, so that's off the table. And I guess my point is, no, what from a curriculum and course offering perspective should we focus on for the next 1 to 2 years? Like, just pick, I don't want to say just pick something, because there's more to it than that, but what's the highest priority thing? What's the thing that can make the biggest difference with the kids if we focus on it? And is it a SMART goal? Is it something that we can see, we roll it out? And maybe it's maybe it is a science, maybe it says I'm a focus on chemistry or something, and we say, whoa, the chemistry lab isn't big enough. And, and that's when facilities would come into play to determine how to make all that happen. But I guess I don't want them to be limited when they're thinking on,
No, but I'm trying to say, I'm trying to support what you're saying. And Tom, what you say is you ask people to dream, but they need to dream about things that have fit into our identified focus. They can't, they can't keep changing things every 6 months and set this aside. That's what we said we don't want to do. We don't want to set this aside and just go off on some other direction without knowing how it fits in. Either that, or we have to go back and reestablish, reframe or rephrase that. So it's process, right? It's
and that's one of the things that was brought up is having a committee that's that governance task force, as far as are our committees structured in a way that really help us move the district forward. And I know we've got the committee structure as defined by MSBA, but with asking the school to really look at what they're doing and their instructional strategies and what they're teaching, and making sure that it's 21st century. Do we think maybe as a board you want to look at the structure to see if it's really fitting and doing what it needs to do for us? Maybe having finance and facilities merged as one committee might make more sense. Or looking at having governance where they're really, the governance is looking at not only the board function, but also looking at how as a board the district is doing on those strategies, and really maintaining that monitoring of the curriculum, monitoring of what's going on as far as the other goals that we've set. Do we want to have that type of governance subcommittee? That's what I'm bringing up. I'm just saying, do you feel that we've got the structure in place that really can make this, you feel like you're part of a high functioning board? Because I don't want you frustrated. I want you to feel like you're part of a high functioning board.
So I'll be quiet after this, but I think we've gone beyond MSBA's model for committees. They say the established normal committees are this, and this. And we have used most of those, and a few additional ones. We've got ad hoc and we had whatever. We've gone above and beyond that because we decided that we should have a charter for each of those committees, which fits into how are they gonna fit into governing and the policy decisions of the board and of this administration, right? And I don't think most schools' committees have a charter.
No.
So, I mean, maybe we want different committees, but maybe we just need to put in the charter, the task and the goal of the committee to consider, you know, those things and advance them. So, you know, I mean, we can improve, but I think we're moving in that direction. We just haven't been able
I
to
just don't think
put
we've,
words to it.
you know, we're moving in that direction. It just takes time. You know, it doesn't happen automatically.
Well, no, we have to keep talking about it.
But
so
we have to
understand.
we have to keep it in front of us. We have to constantly bring it back up. And these committees, you know, again, I think what Mimi's point, what she's talking about, I think they need to dream big, come up with focus ideas that's gonna go towards what we have as our goals, and bring them up and
Yeah,
talk about it.
they shouldn't say in that committee, oh, we don't have space for that.
No.
I mean,
That shouldn't
I
be
mean,
the
that might be
discussion.
the reality, but if that's really what the goal is, they can say, that's our reality, but, you know, let's push this forward and see if somebody can help make it happen, make the space or whatever. Instead of not advancing it because it's already a foregone conclusion, it can't happen.
Right, that shouldn't happen.
So,
Perhaps we need to be reviewing our strategic plan a little more often to make sure that it's still focused on what we're
We are.
interested
Never
in.
got done.
well, but
You got this.
We're trying.
we're in the process of that. That takes time, as you said,
Right.
Tom, right? So curriculum and course offerings went to district advisory. The tech committee is supposed to meet to discuss the technology things.
That's going on, right?
Well, yeah. I
Yes,
mean,
the next step is surveying the teachers.
we had one meeting, so,
Yep.
I mean, we've got much more, but
So everybody's moving along smoothly.
Well, the district advisory council needs to meet again. And I think the issue is that the group is very, and it's a group of, like, I'm a member of the committee, probably as a parent. I mean, I'm a board member and a parent, and people have different roles. It's made up of teachers, and Todd and Rick were there. And Jean, I believe, was at that one with me. And so I think they're so focused on world's best workforce and all that stuff that they have been in the past, and kind of down in the weeds and in the details, that they're not used to being asked to come up with a proposal for a board goal. And so I think we need to meet again. And
But the charter for that committee, as far as by policy, they're supposed to be the World's Best Workforce Committee, and they're also charged with staff development. So they need to
they're
be.
doing their job, but
Yeah,
we're
they need
asking
to be
them to
down there,
do,
right.
yes, that's exactly what they're supposed to do, but we're asking them to do one additional thing, which is, you know, we think it's the right people to come up with the curriculum and relevant course offering goal, right? What are we gonna do to achieve curriculum and course offerings, relevant curriculum and course offerings? What change can we make? What initiative can we deploy?
But then it needs to be district level.
Well, I don't wanna eliminate something that, well, yeah, I mean, I do think I mean, a lot of the things that we're talking, I mean, they might be different online, but if we're gonna focus on math this year, obviously MNBA can focus on math. I mean, so I don't think it's gonna be so limiting that we can't do it in the online school. But there might be an aspect to it that, obviously, if it's a focus on nursing education, I'm making stuff up at this point, this was not discussed. But if it's focused on nursing education and we need to add in a whole wing to the school, obviously that's gonna be different in MNBA than
Right.
us. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it. I mean, it's just different, so.
So what other parts of the review project, of the 10-year plan, did you want to discuss other than, I mean, obviously
Now,
nothing.
some of those, did you just put in a percentage each year going across?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
And then
as
those
far
are
as
fixed.
maintenance type things
Yeah.
that got put in. And this is just long-term facility maintenance. So then the other question is, this is what goes to the state. For our 10-year plan, did you want an internal one that goes with this, that projects out as far as those projects that don't fit on this?
Well,
I mean,
and
like the cafeteria, that type of
Yeah.
thing. Well, yeah, we need to have those somewhere,
Okay,
because, I mean, we have them out there. You know, we have that one big book that we did, I don't know how many years ago. You know,
Right.
what we'd like to see. And like we've talked about in the past is, let's take out what we've accomplished and let's add in what we'd love to see, you know, because we've always talked about building some, what was I going to say, besides cafeteria, but there was something else. we wanted, auditorium. So those type of things, I think we need to have out there, and things like Michaeline said that tie into what we want to achieve. And how do they tie into what we want to achieve already in our strategic goals?
Just keeping them on the list,
Oh,
so you
yeah.
don't forget about
Right,
them.
keep them on the list.
Then, you know, then we look at that if we revisit the strategic plan and
and so what group looks at that additional list? Is that just a facilities, or is that I'm just trying to figure out so that everybody is clear on
Well, I think in
the
the past,
process.
if I'm not mistaken, what happens again is the list we get from Todd and Rick and by other people with their input and what they'd like to see. And that list is out there, and then as a board, we look at it and say, okay, these are the things they'd like to see done, first, second, and third type of thing, and what can we afford next? And if an opportunity comes up like we just had, we, as a board, decide, hey, we'd like to build a cafeteria or an auditorium, and we can do that now because of this state opportunity, money-wise. Let's, you know, go for it and see what else we can add to it.
so is it just an addendum? So like you said, it's an internal addendum to this
To
very
this.
document.
This is
But
just
then when the
maintenance on the
board
building.
considers
Right.
this, the board sees this plus the internal
Right,
addendum
and
for
when we
consideration.
did the 10-year plan, we looked at this, we didn't look at the addendum.
Right.
And so what I'm saying is, this is the 10-year plan that has to go to the state.
Mhm.
Right,
Looking at the 10-year plan, do you wanna look at that addendum? Is the way we're getting the list for that addendum going to be the process going forward? Is that process working? Do you feel that process needs to be improved?
Well, my concern, I mean, there's always, you can always make an improvement, you know, on any process, but at the same time, I'm kind of surprised that the people at that committee felt like they can't bring up ideas or thoughts that they would like to see. If it
Well,
pertains
the idea
to,
that came there was building an auditorium and,
and that's been on the list,
right,
but again, maybe that hasn't been notified that it's still on the list, you know, because we haven't looked at both of them. We look at this and we don't look at, okay, these are all things we've accomplished, these are the things that are still on the list. And,
so
you
any
know,
committee could
bring up Ann.
could bring up any board member could, I mean, you know, we could, if it seems valid, and then the full board considers it and says,
Right,
yeah, no,
exactly.
or
It's
yeah,
like, yeah,
let's
we've
keep
talked about it one
this.
time, putting a swimming pool in. That was out there for how long? You know, and then we
that's
talked,
in the original
well, that's what I'm
plan.
saying, then we talked about, you know, building a pool and then talking to the community about making it part of it. You know, do they wanna go in on it? Because at one time, the state was offering us funds for maintaining a pool, but they wouldn't do the building of it. The city was concerned, well, we may have the money to build it, we don't have the money to maintain it. So at that time, we were talking, well, maybe you build it, we maintain it, and together we have a pool. Well, that kind of went away because everything changed, you know, with money. Same with the lunchroom, you know, the cafeteria. You know, do we build a cafeteria where the city or the community can use it for other purposes? Instead of them building their own entity. And I think that's changed now because they're talking about building their own thing.
Yeah, they didn't wanna,
So, but, you know, those types of things, I think as a board, we need to review those just as much as we review this to make sure.
what's the date for submitting this? What's the date?
October.
What month is it?
February.
An auditorium
this-
would be nice.
This,
Oh, yeah.
it was a request that this goes on the agenda, that's why.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why it's here.
Okay.
That's
I'm
why
confused.
that's why it was to talk about the 10-year plan, and so there's, I think, there was some confusion about what the 10-year plan is, what it isn't.
Well, I would assume that over the course of a year, from now until September, that any ideas that have been discussed and put forward, auditorium, cafeteria, those are,
Science
you're
room.
there, I mean, science room, I mean, you're hearing those get to be part of the addendum. They don't have to be ordered or prioritized unless the board has already, you know, said the cafeteria's been there forever, that's our priority, but all of a sudden a funding opportunity comes up, all of
Right.
a sudden one of them jumps up on the list.
Right, and
Whether it's
that
part of the
would,
plan
that's
or
what we,
not.
you know, that's, to me, that's the only reason we got what we got this last time, is because we had our stuff on our list. And if we don't have it, it's harder for us to come up with a list. When they say, hey, you got 10 days to come up with a list, you're like, what?
Yeah.
I'd rather have ideas, whether they be from whoever, you know, and like Mike Lean said, bring it to the board. You know, in the committees, they come up with ideas and thoughts. Put it on the list. You know, nothing can be not talked about.
I don't know if it's better to consider that addendum from the standpoint of budget planning or from the standpoint
Well,
of when
and
this goes
that's,
in.
I'm,
So timeline, you know, what time at what point in the year do you put it on?
I
for
don't remember
board
when we did it even
consideration?
before.
I think that
I'd say, yeah, somewhere.
I think the strategic plan's gonna be our roadmap, and until we get that done, we're just kinda all over the place.
Well, that's
So
why we want everything to tie
If we
into
can get focused on
it.
some specific, you know, specific SMART goals, and we kinda know what direction we're going, then when we see things come up, we can say, does this fit in? Is this the best use of money? Is this, you know, what results are we gonna get from this investment?
I think we're getting farther than we were.
Yeah, I mean,
feel
we're
anyway.
going in the right direction, but I
Yeah.
think we have to get that done. My concern about this 10-year plan is that I don't know, and I know it was done, I guess I don't know what the items are. Like, for instance, there was the picture of the signage and it had the stairs to the preschool, the concrete stairs, and they're in horrible shape. So is that in here, is it not in here? Because we get a really large percentage from the state, and to me, that's long-term facility maintenance. And
We
it
talked
should be
about that at the
included.
last board meeting. We had that,
and
we discussed it and we
Yep.
looked at those pictures in there. I was talking to Gary, I said that needs to be on our list because now that we have, like you said, some funding that we may not have had before in the facilities. I remember Gwen, we had a discussion, what are the little things that we need to get done to clean stuff up?
and I sent an email
one
to
of them was the
UNESCO
steps.
about getting a quote
For the
on
steps.
replacing the steps. It's just,
But I wonder how many other things, I mean, a picture was flashed at a board meeting. I'm not,
Oh, no,
I'm not
yeah.
in the buildings all the time, and I don't know and you don't know. And so how can we get those and then get them in the plan? Because we have the money to make all those repairs. We just have to plan for it. And
Well, that's where you have to rely on your principals, Rick and Todd, to go out to the maintenance people and say, hey, you know, is there anything that you need fixed or that we need to look at? And go out to the science department, and all our teachers should be interacting with the principals with ideas or things that they come across, because you're right, we're not in the school all day, Corinne's not in both schools all day, and somebody may walk by something every day and say, look at it, it's fine, but then Mike Lean walks by and says, what the heck is this? We need to fix that, right?
Those steps could come under possibility of handicap accessibility to some.
if we wanted
That
to
would
make them
be
handicapped
crazy.
accessible, we'd have to
Change
ramp
it.
and,
We'd have to
yeah,
ramp it
we-
down the
It's way
block
too
or
steep.
there's
something.
an
It's way too
elevator
steep.
inside.
Wrap it down
But
to
the one thing on those steps we may wanna look
To get
at is
enough
instead of
rides.
having them 27 feet wide, maybe we narrow them up, you know, to more of where the doorways are. I don't know.
Maybe we take them out
Maybe-
altogether.
I don't know, that
Maybe
would
you don't
be-
have that entrance anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
there's
not a
things we
very-
have to look at.
Well, the other
Safe.
one that's always on my list is the gym entrance to the elementary school.
And we did, that did get skim coated, so it's
Yeah, and
level,
that's,
yeah.
But, I mean,
Get it?
this,
no, it's worse.
This-
It's going, it's deteriorating.
Skin coats don't last with this kind of weather we have. You
When
need to have
for
new blocks built, like
long-term
you did, new
facility
steps.
maintenance, what's the percentage that the state provides versus us? Is it 66?
88.
So they'll pay 88% of whatever's on our list. So, and we can only spend what's on our list. So we need to make sure during the window, I mean, we need to update. I feel like we did it and we kind of thought, we're done. We need to update it every year and we need to
Well,
have
it's
it be
supposed to be
accurate.
No,
done.
yeah, and that's, it,
Yeah.
and that's why you'll see in column E, that's, for 18-19. That's why we put the abatement in there.
And so where are the preschool stairs? Not in there?
They're not in there because I don't know how much it would be to replace those, that's why we've got the email out, and UNESCO is trying to find,
Are
somebody
they the
that-
ones that come over and evaluate them and decide what it's gonna cost us?
Mhm.
And so the next opportunity to put that in would be before October of
Right.
It can be
2018.
adjusted throughout the year, but we have to adjust it, send it to the state.
Right,
Yeah.
so you can, okay.
Yeah.
And then that's where the adjustments on the levy come in, because everything that's on here will go on the levy.
Okay,
So if it's adjusted mid-year, then it'll be an adjustment.
the next.
That's what
Okay.
brings about those adjustments on the levy.
So as school board members, I mean, these are two things that I think we all see. So is this something we're going to see some prices on?
Well, I know,
That's
like I
been-
said,
that's
we already
been
talked about
requested.
it.
So yes,
But again, what a concern of mine is that it's not just being identified, that it's not coming down the pipe, you know what I mean? We saw the steps, I don't know if Rick mentioned it, or, you know, one of the maintenance people mentioned it.
But you
But it
saw it
needs-
instead of coming from somebody.
Right, it should
Yeah.
be coming from the people that are here every day, things that they see that need to be done, and not just, well, we don't have the money for that.
I mean, it's as simple too, I mean, if the kindergarten classroom needs paint,
But that's what I mean,
it would
it
be
shouldn't
covered,
be-
right?
Yeah.
They should be able to get it, the same,
like-
a kid goes crazy with the Sharpie and it really needs to be repainted, well, we can do that, right?
we have some money left from the bond as well, and so that could
Cover some of it.
cover that. And also, we've got the, just to keep it on your radar, the doors in the gym, the collapsible doors
Mhm.
between the band room and the gym. Those,
Is that on there?
really need to be replaced. And no, because we're still trying to deal with the company in Minneapolis to get the quote on what replacement will cost. So I
something's
can't
being
put
done.
a number on there unless I know
So
what
some
the
things are
number is.
being,
Yeah.
we're looking into getting quotes for those products that we
Yeah.
just talked about.
So is UNESCO supposed to, I mean, can't we have that, they're kind of working for us, can't they come down and look at everything with, you know,
New set of
eyes that
and
don't
say,
see everything every day and say, you know, these are potential things that need work, and then we have something to prioritize. Right now, we all have our own little pet project.
Yeah. And I could see if Chris can come down and do that.
You know,
They did that
probably find
before.
things
Yep.
that we don't even think about.
And that's how we got the list that we got
Last time.
last time, because they came through and the things that you're bringing up are not things that were on that list.
But we're paying them a
Yep.
fee, so.
Yep.
Yeah, so let's
And
bring them
maybe
down.
maybe their standard policy is every 2 or 3 years they do that, I mean, and it's been
2 or
probably,
3 years.
yeah, it's been that long, so I think it's time,
They-
I mean, I'm just making that up, but I'm gonna guess they have a standard time period they come back and walk through and do another list.
14-15 is when they did the entire,
Oh, yeah,
and
they
they
did
did the, 1 year after the project, but they did the evaluation of what was done,
Mhm.
looking at that.
So now we should have them come back and do a reevaluation, then talk with the people, do a walkthrough, and then maybe talk to people, see if there's stuff that they saw that wasn't on their list, you know, just kind of get everybody's input on it.
If we have other ideas or suggestions, where, when, and to whom should they be
That's a
forwarded?
wonderful question. So Tom was saying that if it's something that goes on that list, it goes to facilities. So is that something that do you feel it should be given to Ann to put on a list
Yeah.
for facilities? Or is that something that you feel should be given to me, or
So I think you have enough, I think Ann can accumulate the list, you know, and then, but she had another idea, I'm thinking Ann collect it and we can start a conversation on it.
If it's a facilities idea, if
Yeah.
it's a curriculum, if it's, I mean, I don't know. Okay, I just wanna know, cause all of a sudden I'm thinking about things, so.
Yeah.
well, and that's
Right?
that's
Get them to
that's
Ann.
I just want
I'm sure you could come up with a good list.
I just want clarity
No, I
for
think you let
the
Ann-
process and
let's-
to make sure that everybody, I don't
That
want you
we're following the
frustrated.
process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If we get them all going to Ann, one person, one direction,
And
fine.
so the couple of projects that are kind of floating in the wind right now, like signage and Storage shed.
Signage is getting done.
Storage
Signage
sheds,
has
I
been ordered.
guess.
Storage, I did get, a drawing from Lester Prairie. I got a drawing from Morton Building and a quote for just the building, not any of the concrete or groundwork. And, Morton said it would be 63,000 just for the building and no concrete. And I thought that's a little steep. And Lester, I've asked them for, a quote for the building and then another one for the building and the concrete and the base work, so that we could see full project from Lester and just the building part from Lester.
Since
Is it
that's-
something you can
Is
think
this
that
something that
tech
UNESCO
kids could
should
do?
be involved into, or no?
With just a storage building, I don't
We
know if
already
they,
said it's $63,000.
well, that's because when Kyle drew the exact same building and said that it could be something that his construction class was built, he had a 21,000 for
So
total.
could they still build it?
He doesn't have the construction class this spring, nor does he have it
Well, we're not-
next. It's usually we would have to wait then until spring of 19 to build it.
Well, get a temporary, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
21,000 versus 63,000?
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I'm waiting for the Lester
Yeah.
one to see.
And then see,
Plus
if
the-
maybe you get a bid from somebody locally to do the gravel, and I don't know that we need concrete per se, unless we have concrete in certain areas.
You need concrete on the floor. You're not just gonna have a garage on gravel.
Wow,
City code might even have something on that.
yeah. I mean, there may be somebody locally that can do that, give us a quote for that separate than.
Well, that's why with Lester, I'm asking for just the structure and then concrete and then the base.
So I'm going back to how to send ideas to Ann. Should we tag these ideas with some brand of some sort? District or high school wish list, elementary wish list, or district wish list? I mean,
If it's for facility, tag it for facility enhancement. If it's something that you want to build, remodel, rehab, that would be facility. If it's something that you feel that we need as far as curriculum, that should probably come to me or to either one of the principals. Or if it comes to me, I can zip it out to the principals, so that you have just one person to go to.
I just don't want, if we send something and it's like, well, that isn't facilities, so I'm not gonna put it anywhere.
No.
Just want to make sure.
I take it to Tom and Corinne and say, where do you want this to go?
Okay,
You know, if I have a question.
and I say, who's it from? Mike
Mike
Lee,
Lee,
just
take
put
it
it
off
in
the
the
list.
circle file.
Take it off the list. Okay, is there any more you wanna talk about on that?
You know, excuse me, on the SharePoint site for the school board, there is a area, I don't know if I can show it to you exactly here. It's down below where Tom and I keep our calendar.
Yeah, I see that all the time.
I could keep a list going. Would somebody want to see the spreadsheet there of suggestions that come in and kind of keep an ongoing, so it
Yeah,
could
you
be
could
in
put,
this
why don't you do that, cause then it could be just an updated and have them separated as to, you know,
facilities,
facilities and curriculum.
curriculum.
Okay.
I
And
think
that way,
would
'cause
be a
there may
nice
be an
place, then
idea.
everybody has access to it.
Yeah, I'm assuming all of you, well, you can hardly see that there, but that all of you would have access to this, so I try to use that for some of the things that is pertinent to everybody. So that's what I would do, and then as comments or questions come in, it could be taken from there and,
Well, because if somebody looks at it, they may come up with another idea off of somebody else's idea,
yeah,
so that
It's
kind of
just gonna
stuff.
get big.
It's okay.
dream.
It's all right.
Yep. All
Is
right.
everyone okay with that?
Everybody fine with that? Mimi, you're good? Jean, Ron, Michael, good to go. G to G. Okay, moving right along, right? Old business, items for discussion and approval, second reading of policies, 403, 405, 407, 420.
Motion to approve all four policies, there were no significant changes in.
Okay, we have a motion, do I have a second?
On policy
Do I have a second?
405, second.
Okay, discussion?
On policy 405, it's the purpose, there's, which provides is in there twice. Which provides, and stuff was
Wow. Cha-ching!
So,
Mark,
my
what now?
colleague is still game.
I am! Point to Mr. Lundeck.
This is not a competition.
I don't know, it's getting that way right now.
I thought I was falling asleep, which provides.
Wow.
Man.
Okay.
I will look for that table and fix it.
It's just in the first sentence of the purpose.
Did we get a second?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you already
Gene
seconded.
I seconded.
Okay,
Any further discussion other than Jean's
Well, we're
fine
going
with
to
hair?
modify the
Modify.
motion to reflect the change.
What's that?
That's my.
405.
It's a
There's
friendly
one which
amendment.
provides for each eye.
Whatever.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
So, we have a motion to, we have a second. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
On that policy for the sexually transmitted infection and other communicable disease, it mentions tuberculosis in there and screening or testing. How often do we do that for our teachers and stuff?
I do remember the last time I got screened for TB, but that's because I was working with a fellow teacher who had it, and so then we all got screened. But since then, we don't do it unless we don't screen unless there's cause.
Okay. Because I know that it's coming on the rise now back again a little bit.
Yeah,
Wisconsin
it would be
stuff.
more for certain curricula. I mean, the school nurse has to have her.
They just do the mantle text.
Right, but we don't
Yeah.
screen all the teachers, but if you were working in a healthcare setting, when Mimi gets her nursing wing, then we're gonna have to have lots of things.
That's the only
Complaints
time
coming
I've
from.
ever been in a school where there has been, the
A need.
cattle chute to do the Manto test. Is because we had a teacher with TB.
That answer your questions?
Yeah.
Okay, is that it now? Moving right along, new business, we don't have any. Announcements,
I have,
point events.
first, certificates for each of you, thanking you.
School board.
Next week, the 19th through the 23rd, is School Board Appreciation Recognition Week. And so I would like to publicly recognize and thank all of you for your service, and
Thanks, Mike.
I don't think the community realizes how much time and effort you put into making sure that this school is operating as efficiently and effectively as it does. So, thank you. Huge applause. Well,
No applause, just from-
Cash is good. Okay.
okay, and then the other thing, top 20 training,
My little certificate.
the announcement didn't make it into the banner. I'm not sure why. But we did, hopefully those of you who
I got
have
one.
students have the green or the pink
I
postcard.
got mine today.
Yep.
If anybody wants to look
Mine's
at it.
orange.
Yep,
Yours
so
is
that,
orange?
I get a pink one, what's it?
they were all pink.
Really?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
colorblind.
You were,
Yours-
you were flagged.
Everything was pink going out of here unless it got sun faded somehow or another for you.
Yeah, I do live out in the country.
Okay.
I get lost.
But it's the top 20 training, and then That'll be about 75 minutes, and then it's about 15 minutes at the end where parents can hear about the Yes Houston, the video history. And then I will have calendars out there for the parents to look at and do a vote for the 1920 calendar of their choice, so we can and get some parent input on that as well.
And you're doing a small, what the difference is. So like look at them.
No, there will be a little vacation of note, vacation of note.
Okay. Anything else? Nothing, okay, meetings and committee updates? You and I
Our
might.
state girls dance.
Oh, yes,
Oh.
yes, oh, thank you.
Jeez.
Yes, the girls left for state dance this afternoon, with, the fire department and ambulance and sirens blaring. They did their dance at the elementary school, and then they came to the high school and did the, very polished performance here. They really have put forth a lot of effort, and it definitely shows. So we have high hopes, and they will be dancing tomorrow at 12:19, and we're going to stream it live in the gym. And it will be right during lunch, so the kids can actually, we're gonna bring all the kids, the senior high kids are gonna be in the gym already, because it's during their lunchtime, but the junior high kids will be brought in, and we can sit and watch them actually perform up at state. So
I'm going.
that'll be,
Yeah, my niece's daughter's in it.
Oh, really?
Nadia.
Nadia.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
So-
we're driving up tomorrow morning.
Oh, sweet.
That's really,
You'll see me wave.
Okay.
with, some people have asked why there was not a charter for that. Before, when teams have made it to state, the charter has been a donation, and that didn't happen for this one because they're 11. So I don't know if the other groups that typically paid for the charter felt that they would fit in the van, because I know for smaller teams like Knowledge Bowl, we always just took a van. For speech, we always took a van. Wrestling didn't have a charter when they went.
It's too bad we don't have something in between, or an access to something in between. Thought I
Those
could
are
have.
really expensive, those small.
The limos,
those-
yeah.
I mean, I think we've talked about that sometimes when we got into buses and the cost, it's like you're better off to get a bus.
A short bus is exactly the same cost as a regular size bus. But then if we had a short bus, it would still be a bus and not a charter.
Have some
But-
laughter in the audience.
A short bus, it typically
Some of us rode
gets
on
the
bus.
giggles.
One of our wrestlers was raped in the prep bowl in the paper today too.
Zach,
Zach.
Oh,
Beck.
cool.
yeah, he should be ranked.
He was number one
Yep.
of the ones.
Yep,
Oh, good.
doing very well.
Well, congratulations on both.
And then playoffs start with basketball too, so.
And we have a AAA.
Yes, we have AAA. Noah Carlson is our,
When was the last time when Morgan graduated?
Ellen.
Yeah.
Ellen was AAA for the region.
It's been quite a while.
Cool.
Yeah,
Got a lot going on.
you do?
And we've had, through the years, Dan Ulrich was for the region, and then Leah Gavin was also for the region.
He goes to the boys' state final basketball game, and it'll be announced on the court who the winner is for the state.
Mm. That'd be cool.
And if I remember correctly, there's a nice reception.
Yeah, there's some sort of banquet for
Yeah.
parents and stuff like that. I don't know quite what to expect.
So we're having a good year so far.
Yes, yeah, there's a lot of very positive things happening.
It's a good thing.
And the basketball girls play at 7:15, and I promised
You won't be there.
somebody that she would get to the game on time.
Oh,
'Cause our girls' basketball players are,
doing
They're
well.
rocking.
Yeah,
Yes.
they are. They're doing really well.
Final home game.
Okay, so
okay,
anything else on the committee meetings, updates, committee updates, online?
Presenter.
Yeah, online committee, we talked more about the cohorts. We went through the numbers for the different cohorts over the years. We went through the report, with the withdrawal reasons. And I guess it's not on, it'll probably be in the next meeting agenda. Should I tell them what we were, okay, we looked through the numbers and, we decided, that we would recommend keeping the 5 cohorts. It did have a significant monetary, effect for the school. There was a significant number of kids that did come in, and the retention rate was about the same between the 2nd cohort and the 3rd cohort. Overall, in the elementary, that their percentages, their retention rate seems to be going down kind of steadily. The high school is staying pretty stable between the cohorts. So we talked a little bit about that. I'm not sure. We're gonna have to monitor that and see if we can come up with some approaches to try to stabilize that elementary retention rate
and retention rate, the
of the cohorts. I don't know if that's the right term to use, but
oh, no, it's absolutely the right term to use, and it's when you retain the students, not only does that help your enrollment, but also a retained student, you don't have to go through the learning curve of learning how to do online school. So the more kids we can retain,
Right.
the more likely we are to get those students to make the gains they needed. Because when kids are transitioning between schools, typically when you change a school, you lose a little bit of how your test scores typically go down, just because you're in that transition. And so the less we can get them transitioning and the more we can get them staying here, the better we will be as far as making sure that they're making the gains they really need to make as students.
I'm sure you've probably thought of this, but whoever, Angela, Laura, you, as you're looking, online schools committee, as you're looking at those enrollment trends, in the elementary school, if I'm understanding it correctly, they have to have a parent at home to be their learning coach. And in times of high employment, where parents are not displaced, and some will choose to be home, but some have an opportunity to have a job, and now you don't have a learning coach at home, and that could be affecting our enrollment. And so that's what happens where I work. Employment goes up, our enrollment goes down. Employment goes down, our enrollment goes up, in part because of that. Now that's something you need to be aware of, but something that is not something we can necessarily do anything about.
That was one of the higher percentages of the reasons for dropping out, was too much time commitment for the learning coach.
Well, they have to be there,
Yeah.
and
No,
especially
the
in
other one
elementary.
is the learning coach no longer available.
Yeah.
yeah, but that
one.
was only, so we have and we can maybe put this packet, can we give the board access to the packet? I don't even have access to the packet, but we'll try to figure out, it's a lot of data, so I can't really
Well, I don't
summarize
really
it,
wanna
but
look at it, I'm just saying, there are things that we need to be aware
Yeah.
of that we
Oh.
can, plan for or try to offset, and there are things we just need to be aware of that are outside, they're affecting the system.
But I think it's good data to have and to look at as far as why, if a student isn't going to stay with us, why they're leaving.
Oh.
Is it something that,
Exactly.
is
Well,
it
you don't want
something
it
that
where
we're
we're
not doing
doing
in the
wrong.
program, or if is it their life?
Right.
If it's their life and we have no ability to address that, then okay. But if it's something that they don't like about our program, if it's something that they don't feel that we did well enough, then definitely we can have an impact there. But that's why it's good to have the data.
yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, a lot of them are unknown. you know, and
Yeah,
I
but
think-
those unknowns, so you don't know those unknowns,
Yeah.
but you look at the bigger societal trends and you say, well, it's unknown, but this is certainly
More than
possible.
likely it could
Right.
be
Yeah.
this, right?
right.
Anything else on it?
I think that was pretty much it. We talked about course offerings and class minimums and some, I mean, that was the
Adjustment.
first 45 minutes of the meeting, so.
Okay.
Did I miss anything?
No, I think we got it all.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Feedback? Agenda items, anything else?
Ad hoc committee meeting schedule. With this, I know you want to do, marketing and partnerships. With those, we've got a couple members, but do you feel that one or both of those should maybe be committee of the whole? Do you feel that we need to have like a, maybe a work study about the things that we should be marketing, how we should be marketing, things the different ways to market? Is that something you want that small committee to work on, or is that something that, as I said, is that a work session for us? Do you feel that we need, as a committee of the whole, a work session?
You know, my opinion, or, I mean, I think the small group,
I think we should
a lot of
just
times
work
you get more done and bring it to the big group. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think, who is on that? Am I on that with Josh and maybe?
Yeah.
Marketing is you and Josh, and then the partnerships, I think, are Jean, and are you on that one too?
No, I'm not on that one. I think that, with the marketing, Josh and I and you should just
I think
meet.
you can.
And we can start brainstorming and pull people in as we need to, I think.
Because once it starts going, I think, and it brings, you bring your suggestions to the board always has an opportunity to have their input.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I feel that a smaller group seems to get more done than trying to, that's just my thoughts. Mike Lane, you have?
I could go either way, but I agree with you. I mean, it's just to keep these moving. I mean,
Yeah.
we've already had now, District Advisory Committee needs to meet again to finalize. District Technology Advisory Committee needs to meet again, so I don't wanna necessarily go off and do the others and then drop these for half
Well,
a year.
No, I think we need to keep rolling, just have the smaller groups get together and do like they're doing now, is update us, and then at that time, if we feel as a group that we need to sit down, then we could do it, but I think if we just keep it as is, it'll keep going.
And with the partnership one, I'm not a part of that one, but I would suggest that whoever is, there's that session coming up in Caledonia, like all about partnering.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys were invited from the Houston Economic
And Courtney
ABA
Berge,
maybe, or,
Courtney Berge, and so I can send the invite to all of you.
it's all about businesses and schools partnering to create a better workforce, and it sounds like whoever's in that group, that it might be a
Oh,
great
definitely.
opportunity
Yeah.
to just piggyback on the effort that's already there, and
Maybe it went out to business owners, maybe, or?
well, it was on Facebook, so I don't know who it went to. Maybe Bob got invited as business, maybe,
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I bet the Chamber of Commerce did, yeah, that's
Chamber.
probably why I saw
Every
it.
chamber
Okay.
member got invited. And I can forward the email. Courtney and I talked today, because I would really, she's looking at possibly applying for a grant to get grant funded from, working with Manpower and having Manpower help work with businesses as far as internships and helping train them as far as how to deal with a high school intern and what things they need, and providing grant dollars so that the business gets some money for their time and effort as well.
No, I think it'd be a good opportunity for us to get out.
I think it's on the 27th, but don't quote me for sure on
It's still
That's a
February,
Tuesday.
that. Yeah, I think it's
Right.
February the 27th.
okay, and I will
Yeah,
zip
send that
the
out.
email out, okay.
Okay, anything else? Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made. Second, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you all for coming.
And thank you, and have a great school board week next week.
Woo-hoo! Does that mean we're off all week?